Hello from the other side, CJ here, and if you're on the hunt for a new smartphone right now, you're gonna want to stick around because in this video, we're calling out the stuff you should not be falling for when picking up your next daily driver in the big 2026. These are smartphone myths, plus some straight-up marketing fluff that brands keep pushing like they actually matter. So yeah, let's get into it. One of the biggest trends right now is phones flexing these ridiculously massive batteries, and that's the first thing we're gonna talk about. Marketing fluff number 1. Bigger battery doesn't automatically mean better battery life. Most of the time, that's just not how it works. We've reviewed a bunch of big battery phones lately, and looking at our data, not all of them actually last longer. Most of these are mid-range phones, and the worst example so far is the Tecnopova 7 Ultra. Even with the 6000 mAh battery, it only got around 11 hours and 32 minutes of uptime. That's not terrible by any means, but when you compare it to something like the Xiaomi 15T Pro, which has a much smaller 5500 mAh battery, it still managed to get a longer uptime at almost 19 hours. True flagships are a different story though. The ones with larger batteries easily push past 20 hours, and that's probably because flagship chipsets are way more efficient than mid-range ones. This just proves that battery life isn't all about how big the battery is. It really comes down to how efficient the chipset is. Adding to that, software optimization is also a key factor. Notice the Nothing Phone 3 and the 3A Lite models here? Despite the smaller capacity and despite not having true flagship chipsets, they still achieve almost 18 hours of battery life. That's most likely because Nothing is known for offering less bloated OS, providing near-stock Android experience, therefore it's much more optimized. What's even more interesting is that some budget and entry-level phones actually last longer. Perhaps it's because of lower spec displays, less demanding chipsets, so fewer things draining power. At the end of the day, it's almost always a case-to-case basis. So the next time you hear a brand hyping a phone just because it has a massive battery, maybe take that with a grain of salt. Another thing that fits the topic is what we have always been reminding you guys in our reviews. Higher megapixel count doesn't always mean better image quality. A number of mid-range Android phones have 108 or even 200 megapixel main cameras, and on paper, that sounds impressive. But in real-world use, more megapixels don't magically give you better photos. What actually matters more is the sensor size, image processing, and how good the phone's computational photography is. That's why you'll often see two phones with very different megapixel counts still producing photos that look surprisingly similar. Case in point. Let's take a look at our recent comparison review where we put up the Poco M8 Pro against the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus. They feature a 50 and a 200 megapixel sensor respectively, and guess what? In terms of image quality and even video capabilities, Poco still managed to come close. And in some cases, we actually preferred shots taken on the Poco over Redmi's. Perhaps an advantage here is image cropping, and Redmi can actually shoot at 4x zoom. And of course, pixel binning for better low light performance. But let's be real, once you upload these photos to social media, they get compressed anyway. And most people aren't zooming in to pixel peep, so a lot of that extra detail just gets lost. Now, another thing we've been seeing a lot lately is the addition of virtual RAM, or in other words, memory extension. It's essentially useless for most people. In case you didn't know, virtual RAM basically uses part of the phone's storage to act like RAM, hence the name. While that can help keep apps from reloading in the background, it's still slower than the actual RAM, so it won't magically make your phone faster or whatever. It can still be somewhat useful if your phone has limited physical RAM, which makes sense for budget phones. Then again, the improvement is usually minor. In our opinion, it's better to just turn it off if your device has enough RAM, like 12 gigabytes or more. So if a brand is advertising plus 8 gigabytes or plus 12 gigabytes of RAM to virtual RAM, just know that it's mostly a flex on paper. Real RAM will always beat virtual RAM, no contest. This next one trips up some people. Just because a phone has a 120Hz display doesn't mean every game you play will run at 120 frames per second or FPS. Look at it this way, the refresh rate mostly depends on the display panel itself, and the frame rate in games is always going to be determined by the chipset. The game itself is also a key factor, so demanding games like Wuthering Waves or Genshin Impact may be capped to 60 FPS, and games like Call of Duty Mobile and Mobile Legends run at up to 120 FPS. Then again, it still boils down to how powerful the chipset is. If it's a flagship phone or even an upper mid-range phone, you can expect it to run games at 120 FPS or higher. That said, a higher refresh rate does make stuff feel smoother like scrolling and UI animations, so it's still great to have even for phones with not so powerful chipsets. Last but not the least, let's talk about peak brightness. Brands love to flaunt huge numbers like we've seen OnePlus 13 do 4500 nits.
Now look, 4,500 nits of peak brightness is nothing to be messing with. It's super bright, and with great brightness comes great responsibility.
But here's the catch. The number usually only applies to HDR highlights, not everyday use. What does that even mean? Well, say you're watching a Netflix movie and your device has HDR capabilities. The phone can technically achieve that insane peak brightness, but only for some parts of the screen and for a short amount of time only. What actually matters for most of us is the typical brightness, the one you'll actually see when you're using your phone or scrolling through apps. There's also this high brightness mode, or HBM other brands like to call it sunlight mode, which is usually turned off by default. Once enabled, it kicks in when you're outdoors under harsh sunlight to boost brightness temporarily. In the OnePlus 13's case, it is a typical brightness of 800 nits and can reach up to 1600 nits in HBM. And honestly, 800 to 1000 nits is already more than enough. You wouldn't want to strain your eyes by cranking the brightness all the way up for long periods anyway. So at the end of the day, the so-called peak brightness isn't really a key selling point you need to consider when buying a new phone. And that wraps up this video. So do you have your own list of things to avoid when buying a new smartphone? Let us know in the comment section below. If you find this video helpful or informative, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, that bell icon so you won't miss out any of our future uploads. See us on the socials, that's Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok, and see yugatech.com for latest tech news and reviews. Once again, this has been CJ, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye! See you later!